Hope that you can see my paint screen. The first sharing
Yes.
conveyed. So these are all the things that we discussed. So in terms of AWS storage, we have block storage. A recall of what we did in our yesterday session. Block storage. Second type of storage here is object storage. And third type of storage is file storage. Under block storage, we have discussed about two types of storage, instant store and elastic block store. Under object storage, we have discussed about two types of storage. One is S3, Amazon Simple Storage Service, and Glacier, which is archive storage. Under file storage, elastic file share. Our interest of discussion here is EBS and more focused on S3. So laterly, if we feel that we need EFS, at that time we will discuss on EFS. Okay. So these are all the two storages that we need to go for. Normally, when you go for data engineering perspective, then you need to go the discussion of EFS. I will let you know. Okay. So this is what that we are going to discuss. We also discussed the differences between block storage versus object storage versus file storage. When you create a instance, you need a hard disk for your instance for storing operating system files. Okay, I am sharing my paint screen. I am writing something. Hope you can able to view.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
So this hard disk which we need to associate with an instance. It is mandatory the hard disk with operating system files in order to perform read and write need to be associated with an instance. Okay. So this way, either it can be a IS or EBS. It depends upon the type of AMI that we are choosing. As I already told, nearly 95% of AMI are EBS based. Only 5% of AMI are IS based. The difference between this in terms of data persistence. These are all interview questions. Okay, these are all interview questions. In terms of data persistence, what is data persistence? Lifetime of data. If we use instant store, whenever this instance is terminated, the hard disk also terminated. Whereas if we use EBS volume, then it won't be terminated. EBS volume, laterly you can create another instance and you can associate with the instance and you can able to read or write. So this is the major difference between the instant store and elastic block store. So we will be focusing on EBS. The second type of storage here also the mapping here is one-to-one mapping and one-to-many mapping. Okay. So in terms of object storage, S3 versus Glacier, S3 and Glacier, which is used for storing audio, video, images, PDFs, etc. These are all the things that we go for. Okay. For storing all multimedia objects, both serves for same purpose. If your application need real time, if your application need that real time read and write, you need to go for S3. If you go for this is for archive storage that we discussed based upon compliances. If you want to maintain your data for a longer duration, you can go for a Glacier. And EFS stands for Elastic File Share. Okay, which is a shared volume. EFS is a shared volume. So if you want your volume need to be shared by multiple instances. More than one instance want to share your volume means. So we have virtual machine 1, virtual machine 2, virtual machine, n number of virtual machines. Okay, if you want the file need to be shared means you want to create a EFS volume. Example scenario is Hadoop, Apache Spark. So these are all the clusters which is used for in-memory data storage and processing where we can need go for a shared volume. Okay, so this is what that we discussed so far. First, let me start with also we discussed in terms of access, permission, and in terms of visibility has been concerned. We can categorize the resources in AWS. All the resources in AWS will be under this category. Either it is a zone specific resource. Second thing, region specific resource. And third thing, it is a global resource. These are all the three categories of resources: zone specific, region specific, global resource. Can anyone please let me know example for the corresponding resources that we have discussed? I have explained, I hope, with an example. If not, please let me know, I will explain. To my knowledge, I think so. I explained you the difference between all these three and the example of each and everything. Yes, whether we explained or not. Balaji, Shrin, Kirtana.
Yeah, explain.
Yes, sir, you
Yeah,
did
yes.
explain.
Then please let me know example of corresponding thing. So that's why I request each and everyone to make a note. Okay. These are all some of the interview perspective, and these are all that you are expected to aware. So when you assume there is a Mumbai region, there is a Mumbai region. Mumbai region altogether contain a data center at Mumbai called availability zone, a data center at Pune called availability zone 3, and data center at Nashik availability zone 3. So when you launch an instance, that instance is visible and accessible in all the three availability zone belonging to the region. Okay, when you launch an instance in Mumbai, you choose this Mumbai availability zone as its source means from a application running a user from Pune, okay, or a user from Nasik or application running from a Nasik can able to access this. Okay, it is possible. So the region specific resource is a EC2 is an example. Here for that particular instance, when you want to attach an EBS volume, that EBS volume need to be created under the same availability zone. When you create the EBS volume in availability zone 2, you can't directly attach it. The EBS volume where it is created in that availability zone alone, it is visible and accessible. Therefore, it is called as EBS volume is called as zone specific resource. On the other hand, when you create a storage bucket, for example, S3 in S3, we will be using a concept called bucket. Here we will be using a concept called vault. So when you create a bucket in availability zone, that is Mumbai, that bucket is visible in Pune, that bucket is visible in Nasik, that bucket is visible in Singapore, that bucket is visible in US North Virginia. So everywhere it is visible. So S3 bucket, okay, and then IAM, Identity Access Management, Glacier, these are all example of global resources. Okay. Hope this is what that theoretically we discussed in our yesterday session. So just I will give you 5 minutes of time. Those who couldn't able to attend yesterday's session or those who couldn't able to understand this concept on yesterday's session, please go through and let me know if you need any clarity. If you have any clarity, I am ready to get rid of it.
நம்மளுடைய மதுரை இயற்கை சந்தை பார்த்தீங்கன்னா இந்த மாதத்துல இருந்து வரக்கூடிய ஆகஸ்ட் மாதத்துல இருந்து முதல் சனிக்கிழமை ஐயர் பங்களால நடத்தப்பட்டு இருக்கும். இரண்டாம் சனிக்கிழமை வழக்கம் நடக்கும். நம்மளுடைய ஷைன் ப்ராடக்ட்ஸும் அங்க வழக்கம் போல கிடைக்கும். மக்களை நீங்கள் வந்து எப்படி நீங்க அங்க காந்தி பஸ்ல வந்து ஆதரவு தெரிவிச்சீங்களோ அதே போல இங்க ஐயர் பங்களா அடிப்படையில் வந்து நீங்க ஆதரவு தருவீங்க. உங்களுக்கான இயற்கையில விளைஞ்ச பொருட்கள் அனைத்தையும் நம்ம வழக்கம் போல இங்க உங்களுக்கு காட்சிக்காக விற்பனைக்காக வச்சிருக்கோம். வந்து வாங்கி பாருங்க.
Okay, shall we start? Hope it is clear for everyone. So let me start the first practical. So the first practical that we plan for here is very, very important. So in terms of storage, so if you are working with any cloud-based environment, similar to, I will also let you know another session, Azure. So there will be one session on Azure. In Azure, how to launch a VM and how to go for a storage here. There are two types of storage similar to EBS. Azure, we have Azure Managed Disk, and similar to S3, we have Azure Binary Large Object, Azure Blob. Okay. So whichever environment that you work, either AWS or Azure, you should know launching your model and performing some activity on top of it. It will be very much useful if you go for a concept like RAG, okay, where you have your external data file, which is fed as input to your LLM for external sources. So here, these external sources, it may be a PDF or it may be any document, it may be images that can be stored on the storage. Your LLM will read the data and then it will, this LLM will learn from this data and it can provide a response for your query. For this knowledge of storage is very much essential. Okay, first what we are going to do, this is the first practical that I am planning for. So you already know how to create instance. When you create an instance, a hard disk by default will be created that we call it as a root volume, which is used for storing operating system files. Here, assume that this particular instance, North Virginia, we have launched this instance in the North Virginia data center. And then the instance is assumed to be launched on availability zone 1 instance. This EBS hard disk, which is operating system root volume, also will be on availability zone 1. So now what we are going to do, we are going to create a volume, create a new hard disk, that is EBS, where we need to, before you create the prerequisites that you need to aware, you should know where your instance is running. Where instance, the availability zone, your instance is running. In the same availability, create a new hard disk in the same availability zone. That is the constraint. Okay. So North Virginia, here you need to create in the availability zone. Here you want to create a volume, EBS volume. You mention this as a hard disk too. And how you can associate this volume, followed with how you can attach the hard disk, how you can modify the size of the hard disk. During modify, I can able to increase, I can't decrease. Okay, I can't decrease the size, I can only increase the size. And then how you can detach the hard disk, how you can, after your activity, delete the hard disk, verify everything. This is what that we are going to do. Okay. So let I connect to my account. Hope everyone created account. Or Python, you can run your Python either in your Windows laptop or in your Linux machine. Linux machine instance, you can launch a machine in AWS. If you create a AWS account, so you will be given $200 credit. So you can launch one instance. Here you can configure this Linux. We are going to use Ubuntu. Here in Windows machine also, I will let you know how to install and configure Python. Python session, it will be around 8 to 10 plus sessions covering everything that it is needed for our data engineering, data analytics, machine learning, AI, and deep learning, and Gen AI. Associated with that concept, we will deal with. Okay, so now attach, detach, this is what that we are. Let me connect with this, my account. So www.aws.amazon.com. I want to connect with my account, AWS Management Console. I want to sign in as a root user. Click on sign in root user email. So this is my account. Common GS new 2025. Okay, this is my account. Next. First character Tia. Is it?
Sir, I think I, sir.
Aya.
Yes.
IRT. There is no TCS. Let me check with the TCS. TCS 5NW. 5NW. Let me check. I means there should be one in the downline.
Sir, one sir.
One. This is 5RD.
1 or 5, sir.
This one 5RD38X. So MFA code means multi-factor authentication code. This is the second level of security I associated with my AWS account. Even someone you know my username and password, using that alone can't able to connect. So here I associated my account with my personal mobile where I run one application, authenticator application. This authenticator application will generate a password, 6-digit password for every 30 seconds once. At that time, which password is selected, that password I need to give. It will connect with my mobile and verify whether that password is existing. That password is valid only for 30 seconds. If it matches, then only it will take me into the screen. Okay, this is the optional. So now I connected. Let me launch one EC2 instance. Go to the instance. Here let I launch one instance. A simple Ubuntu, let me launch a simple Ubuntu server itself. Ubuntu EBS. Let me make to, since this instance we are going to discuss about EBS, Ubuntu EBS, and select Ubuntu. So you can select any OS, being I am familiar with Ubuntu 24. So I am selecting Ubuntu 24. If it is 26, okay, it's not a problem. And then instance type. So the minimum T2.micro. So this is the instance that minimum. So if you go for nano, you have only 0.5 GB of memory, which is not enough for us. Therefore, T2.micro. This is the minimum recommended. Keypad, you know, I already generated a keypad. I am going to make use of my keypad. Happy means personal is a keypad. And security asset is select existing security group. The group which I already associated is launch user 2. So it is not necessary that you need to associate only one security group. You can associate multiple security groups. Rules associated with all the security groups will be applicable to this instance. Okay. And then the hard disk is 8 GB. Let I launch this instance. When the instance is in running state, we can connect with the instance and verify that we have only one hard disk here. That is our root volume. So now the instance start running. When you click on that instance, first step what you need to do, you need to aware where it is launched. Now the availability zone, US East 1B. This is the availability zone where it is launched. Therefore, when you want to create a EBS volume, you should create a volume in the same availability zone where your instance is running. Okay. So now this is your instance. So now let I connect with the instance. Either I can use this public IP or the public DNS address. When I click the square box, automatically it will copy the address. Go to putty, under host name, I can paste it. And then click the plus symbol of SSH, authentication, and then browse. Then the key that I made in here in the download have basement personal open. Open, click on open. It will prompt accept the login as. So being it is Ubuntu, the default username is Ubuntu. We yesterday discussed it is default username and passwordless authentication. Now I got connected. That I slightly increase my font size and other stuff. Bold 16. And then colors. Let me go for a default background color. Okay, so now I got connected to my instance. Now let I clear the screen. Before doing a best practice is sudo apt-get update. This is the basic command. Sudo apt-get update. Yes. Now let me verify by using a Linux command sudo fdisk-l. Kindly note down the command sudo fdisk-l. It will list all the hard disk. Now we have only one hard disk with 8 GB. This is the hard disk which is currently associated with the instance, which we call it as a root volume. So list block, it will also give you the details about the hard disk. So this is the SPDA hard disk. 8 GB total size is 8 GB hard disk. Okay, it contains the following detail. So either any one of the command. So ls list blocks or fdisk-l. These are all the sudo fdisk-l. These are all the two commands which will let you know how many hard disk and size of the corresponding hard disk and other details. So we have only one hard disk. This command shows we have only one hard disk. And then from your console itself, you can able to verify we have only one hard disk. Go to your console. From your console, select this particular instance and under tag, under details. So you have there is a tag called storage. Click on the storage. You can find only one device, root device. There is no block device. The block device was found to be empty. Okay. So under which you can find a volume whose size is 8 GB, only in use. The status was found to be in use. When I click on this volume 6360, when I click on this volume, you can find this is, we can designate a hard disk one. You can assign a name hard disk one. This is the volume. Hard disk one is the root volume. Okay. So here the status of the volume, if you look into that, the status of the volume was found to be in use. When you look into the volume state, you can find it is in use. So similarly, the attached resources to which it is attached with the Ubuntu EBS. Okay, this is what that it shows. The hard disk is in initializing. Okay, so now the hard disk is a root hard disk. This is a root volume. Okay, this is a root volume. So these are all the details about that volume. Now what we are going to do, we are going to create a volume. For creating a volume, where I need to go to volume from the instance tag. When you list on volume, it will show you a storage. Okay, you can click on straight away here. It will take you in this volume. You can straight away. Else, when you scroll down from instance, there is a tag called EBS, Elastic Block Store. Here there is a volume. We can click on the volume. Both will take you to the volume. Now you have only one hard disk. Let I create a hard disk. What's the prerequisites? I should know where I need to create my hard disk. So the already created associated hard disk is in US1B. Therefore, this hard disk also I need to create only on US East 1B. Therefore, under volume, click create a volume. So volume, there are different types of volume, general purpose, SST, cold, etc. It all depends upon the performance and other stuff. Then we keep default as it is. Okay, general purpose SSD. So by default, it will show you, it will provide you 100 GB. We now need to launch a 100 GB hard disk for which we need to pay. Even if you use for 1 hour, we need to pay for it. Therefore, for our practice, I am going to use a 2 GB hard disk. I am going to create a 2 GB hard disk for our practice. Okay. The input, output, this is important. Under availability zone, you want to select the availability zone. Click on to this drop down menu. There is an option called US East 1B. Click on this. US East 1B. And then here, apart from that, you no need to select anything. Snapshot, I will talk about the snapshot. So just I want to select the general purpose and I change default size is showing as 100 GB. I want to make it as of our size that I need. In this example, being it is demo 2 GB hard disk and the availability zone that I have chosen here is 1B. Since my instance is running on 1B, and then I can add a tag to my hard disk, add a new tag, and the key is name. I can assign a tag value hard disk 2. This is the second hard disk. Use hard disk 2. And then create a volume. So now my volume is successfully created. Now hard disk 2 has been successfully created. So when you select this hard disk and scroll, you can find the hard disk size is 2 GB. Hard disk size is 2 GB. And second thing, if you go for the hard disk is created under US used 1B. The status of the hard disk, volume of status is found to be creating. Attached resources, it was found to be empty. Okay, attached resources was found to be empty. Then when it got created, the status will be available. Wait for some time. It will show the status is available. If the hard disk is already attached to the instance, the status will be in use. If the hard disk is yet to attach, then it will show as available. Please make a note of all the key points that we are mentioning. So when you refresh, by the time it might have been created, there is a refresh screen. Click on refresh and verify that the status was found to be available. Status was found to be available. Now I want to associate the hard disk with the instance. First step, I created a hard disk. I want to attach the hard disk to the instance. Select the hard disk. Go to the action tag. Under action tag, you can find a modify volume. If you want to increase the volume, you created a 2 GB. Click on modify. I can make it the same volume. The size I can increase. If I try to decrease, it will show the size of the volume can be increased, can't be decreased. So now I from 2 GB to 3 GB. I increase the size of the volume and simply modify. Yes, modify. Now the hard disk size from 2 GB, it requested volume modification or is modified. So earlier it is a 2 GB. Simply choose the hard disk and here you can find it shows 2 GB. When you refresh the screen, you can find it is 3 GB. The hard disk is 3 GB. Okay, this is the way by which you can't reduce, you can't increase. Select the hard disk. Go to the action. So if you want to take a backup, so here you can create a snapshot. Snapshot is a backup of the volume. You can create a snapshot. For example, under which circumstances, if the hard disk is corrupted or the instance is terminated abruptly or along with hard disk corruption means using snapshot, you can create a new hard disk. Okay. And then you can attach the hard disk to any other instances. So this is the reason for which we need to create a snapshot and then attach a volume. This is what I am going to do. Click on attach a volume. So before attaching the volume, I already demonstrated we have only one hard disk via this command and other stuff. So now availability zone, the hard disk that we have created is in EST East only. Now it is asking for the instance. Select the instance. The only instance running in EST East only here is Ubuntu EBS. Select. And for the hard disk, I need to assign a name. So /SDF. Let us start with SDF. This is a Linux way of addressing the hard disk. So naming the hard disk. So after I select the instance to which it need to be associated, simply click on attach volume. When I click on attach volume, the earlier state, available state, the hard disk earlier was in available state, now changed into in use, and the attachment information, it is attached with the Ubuntu EBS. So now from that volume, I can find the volume is now attached. Go to the instance and verify whether it is attached or not. Select the instance. Earlier, when you have selected the storage tag, you can find it shows only one hard disk, 8 GB. Okay, only one hard disk. Now, when you refresh the screen, you can find there are two hard disks. One 8 GB, another one 3 GB. Is it clear? One 8 GB, another 3 GB. Now, a new hard disk has been attached. From here also, the same command. When I type ls list block, so now you can find two hard disks here. So one is this 8 GB hard disk and another one SVDF 3 GB hard disk. So now I have two hard disks, one root volume, another one data volume. This is the way by which I need to create a EBS volume. I can modify a volume. I can attach a volume. So if I don't want that volume, what I can go for? I can detach and terminate my volume. So how do I can detach? Go to the volume, select the volume, go to actions. Earlier, when it is attached, the status attachment information and volume state has been in use. When you go to action and detach, there are two options, detach and force detach. If this volume is used by any other application or any other user, I can't be able to detach by using this detach volume, for which I need to select force detach volume. So that's the difference, detach volume. The volume being it is not used by any application has been detached. Now the status, earlier it is in use and attached. When I select this volume and refresh the screen, I can verify it is in detached state. Now you can find the volume state is available. Under attached resources, there is no information. Let I verify via instance. Go to the instance. Earlier it shows 8 GB and 3 GB. Simply when I refresh the screen, you can find only one 8 GB alone, it will be displayed. There is no 3 GB. Similarly, the same command, list to block, you can find only one hard disk. This hard disk of 3 GB, it is not displaying. There is no such hard disk. It shows only one hard disk. 8 GB hard disk alone, it will display 8VDA, 8 GB. That alone is displayed. This is how you create a volume, modify the volume, attach the volume, and then you can detach the volume. After that volume has been detached, the volume can be terminated. So the available state, the volume is in available state hard disk to select the volume, go to actions and delete the volume. It asks for a confirmation, delete. So this is how you create, delete, attacks and everything. Just clear? What we did is clear, audience?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, please note down. I will give you 2 minutes of time, kindly note down. So if you are not doing any practical, at least try to make a note of all the hints. Everyone, is it clear for everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So now the second part of discussion is very important. Let me have some conceptual overview of S3. Please don't hesitate. If you have any doubt, without any hesitation, you can clarify. Okay. So S3, one of the most widely used storage with respect to today's IT. S3 stands for Amazon Simple Storage Service. Amazon Simple Storage Service, which comes under the category of object storage. This is used for storing the following things: audio, video, images, okay, PDFs, etc. Here you want to create a container. The name of the container is called as a bucket. You want to create a bucket. So the bucket, it is the name, you should assign a name to the bucket. It should be unique throughout the account. It should be unique throughout the account. Why so? Because being bucket is a global resource. It comes under the global resource. Okay, it is a global resource. So when you create a bucket, for example, North Virginia, availability zone 1, as I already told, it will be visible throughout all the data centers. There are 99 regions we discussed in AWS, out of which 4 are reserved regions, 2 government cloud and 2 China, and remaining 35 regions is allowed to access for the public. In all the 35 regions, you can able to view the bucket. Okay, in all the 35 regions, you can able to view the bucket. The name of the bucket should be unique. When you upload a file, if a user uploaded a file into the bucket, okay, Raman upload a file into the bucket, then the file will be assigned a URL. Whoever that you want to allow to access. For example, I want to allow John to access. I want to allow Satish to access. And then the URL can be shared to them. What John and Satish need, they need a system with support a web browser. That is enough. They no need to have a cloud account. They no need to connect with the cloud to access the particular file. Straight away, using this URL, using a web browser, they can paste the URL straight away. If they have access permissions, they can straight away able to access the file. So the file can be of any file, audio, video, images, or any file. Take one small example scenario. So you as if you are you did a courses, okay. So some be engineering assume. So in a reputed colleges, and your friends, all of your friends now start getting married. And then each and everyone might be in some other location across globe. Being if you are IT guys, you are across globe. So if you are a friend of one of your friends' marriage. So the entire function, marriage functions, all are associated functions has been taken as a video about 2.5 hours. You want to share to all of your 100 friends who are across globe. One is in US, another one in Europe, another one is in Singapore. Likewise, assume there are 100, a team of 100 friends, which is distributed globally. I want to share the video. Traditionally, what you do, you want to take 100 copies, a DVD copy, and you want to courier to your friends. Okay, now it is not needed. You can take a video and you create a S3 bucket, upload a video, and share the URL to all of your 100 friends. All of the 100 friends from their location, they can able to access the video via laptop, desktop, even via mobile. Okay, without any restriction, without any cloud account, straight away they can able to access the video. This is a small example scenario where you can use this S3. With respect to cloud, one of the most widely used storage is S3. Okay, one of the most widely storage is S3. So now what we are going to do in S3, there are around 15 plus properties that you are expected about. There are 15 plus properties. This we will discuss on Monday, these properties. Today, what I am going to do, I am going to demonstrate how to create a bucket. When you create a bucket, the default property of the bucket is it will be private in nature. Private, that means only the owner alone can perform read and write. Owner alone, owner of the bucket. In this example, being owner is Raman. Raman alone can able to perform read and write into the bucket. Similarly, now we are going to create a bucket. And then, so if you want allows, if you want to allow other, then you want to make this as a public. So you want the read write restriction need to be removed. So here, if you want others to access, the bucket, then you want to remove the blockage of read and write. So you want to make it as public. That means similarly, when you upload a file, into the bucket, example in this case, file F1. File F1, the default property also private. Apart from owner, no one can able to access the file. So if you want others to access, then you want to make it as make public. So these are all the properties. These are all the key things. So the first permission that you want to make, if you want others to access the content, is you want to make both the bucket public as well as the files also public. Both the bucket and the files. If you want to give fine granularity control, the content shouldn't be accessed to everyone. So in the bucket, there are multiple details. Okay, so some details about this employee, and there is one folder called secret folder. Under secret folder, that employee's credential has been stored, the employee's credentials and other details. And there is one folder called finance folder. And then all the finance related details will be stored. Finance details will be stored. So if you made the entire bucket as public, okay, or the particular bucket is public means everyone can access all other details. So therefore, I want to enforce some restrictions. The user, some only the finance manager alone need to access. For finance manager or people working with this finance team, the finance team alone need to access the content of finance. And then the security team alone need to access the content of secret. Apart from all other can use. Likewise, if you want to give fine granularity of permission, granularity of permission, then you want to go for a concept called bucket policies. You want to create bucket policies. A bucket policy is of JSON format. At the time of discussion, I will let you know. This is for your understanding. Either you can give closed, that is all by default, the bucket is private. Only owner can access. Else, if everyone want to access, you can make it as a public access. No, I don't want everyone to access. I want only a restricted access. So based upon certain conditions. Means I need to create bucket policies. I will give you 4 minutes of time till 4. Please carefully note down everything. Very, 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 very important. I am trying my best to accommodate everything. It is you if you want more information. Okay, now let me do this simple practical. Let I connect with the S3 and do the lab now. Now select for service S3. Under there is a service called S3. Click on S3. So I need to create a general purpose. Create a bucket. Click on create bucket. General purpose or directory. I want to create a general purpose bucket. I can assign a name. So Prabhu HM. Okay, the bucket name Prabhu HM. So if I want to give permissions to the bucket based upon another bucket which is already created, a bucket is already there with some permissions. If I want to assign the same permission to the newly created bucket, means choose bucket. So it will list some buckets. Since there is no bucket, so I can't able to give. Now I am going to give permission on my own. So now ACL disabled by default. ACL stands for access control list. I want to enable ACL. Click on ACL enable. Object ownership bucket owner prefer. And then the first thing that by when you create a bucket, by default it is private in nature. I want to make it as public. Therefore, block all public access. Unblock it. Okay, I am making it as public and I need to acknowledge. Yes, acknowledge. So this is the first property. So these are all other property that we will discuss about create a bucket. So now I just created a bucket with the name. If the name is already present, it will show a error, name already present. Since the bucket name is not present, it created a bucket here. I created a bucket under the name Prabhu Swami DBA. Now I am into the bucket. When you click on the bucket, we can find the bucket Prabhu happiest minds. Click on this, you can find the properties. These are all the property I talked: bucket versioning, bucket tags, default encryption, intelligent tier, server access lock, event notification, transfer acceleration, request or page. Likewise, I need to define all these permissions. I want to block public access. This is what I did. The bucket policy, object ownership, access control list, and then the management. So life cycle configuration, replication rule. These are all the things that you are expected to have. So now go back to the properties. Now you have a bucket. The bucket name is Prabhu. And then I made the bucket as public in nature. From private, I may change it into public. Now I am going to add a upload a file. Click on upload. So I am going to add a file. If you want to create a folder, within that folder, if you want to configure file, yes, possible. Now straight away I am going to add a file. Click add a file. I am going to add some images. Let I add some images. Let I check in the downloads whether I have any images, PNG file, PPK file, JPEG file, attachments, private PPK. These are all look. I have some files from my E drive, I hope. the file flowers, a file by name flowers. Okay, copy the file, open, and then this is the file flowers.jpg, which is an image file upload. So when I upload this file, as I already told, a URL will be automatically assigned to the file. Whoever want to allow access need to provide the URL. So when you click on this file JPEG under the bucket Prabhu happiest HM, there is a file by name Prabhu. So flowers. So you can find the URL. You can find the object URL. Okay, S3 URL. So here Amazon resource name, you can find the object. When you try to copy as an external user and paste it, it will throw a error. When you try to copy and paste it, it will throw a error, access permission error. So I will share to you now. Anyone you try the URL and let me know whether you can able to access it or not. I am sharing this URL to you. So hope without any cloud account, you try from your laptop. Just copy paste that URL in your laptop and let me know whether you can able to access this or not.
No.
No, the same error, you will receive the same error. Am I correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Access. But as a owner, I can able to access. So when I try to click on open from my account, this is the file. Okay, this is the file, flowers.jpg file. So owner is having all permissions. Now, why it is not allowing? We clearly mentioned the reason. When you upload a file, by default, the file is private in nature. I want to make this as a public. Both the bucket and file, I want to make it as public. Now let me make it as public. Okay, so now go back to the bucket, and under the bucket, there is a tag called object actions. Now I am inside the flowers.jpg file. Go to object action, click on object actions. Okay, under object actions, at the end, you can find a option called make public using access control list. Click on make public. Now it is asking whether when public read access is enabled and not blocked, anyone in the world can access. Yes, I want to make it as public. When I made this access as a public, so once again try this. Once again try this. Now you can able to access the same flower. Please let me know. So this is the way by which any object which is uploaded as a public object, anyone from the world can able to access. Yes. Just refresh the screen. You can able to view the same flower.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yeah. This is the advantage of going. Whether you connected with the account, you no need to connect with any one of the account. Okay, from your system via your browser, you can able to access those files. This is the advantage of going for not only images, video, audio, anything that you can access, anything that you can access. Okay, so if you try to upload some other file, okay, when I try to into the bucket, I tried to upload. This is already uploaded. I uploaded some text files. Add a file. Assume I have some text document with me. So some text document, for example, AWS, EBS or EC2 instance is what that we do. EC2 instance creation. Okay, I copy this file and then simply upload the file. After I upload the file, what I need to do, I want to give the file, this particular file, click on that file. In that file, I want to give make public option, object action, make public. So after I made this as a public, click on made public. So it is open to everyone. So when I click on this URL, when I click on this object URL, open that URL, you can find that can be downloadable. Now these are all the content that it is associated. Okay, so you can also able to view. I will share you the same. You let me know. You can able to now straight away download. Which is because I already made it as a public. I already made it as a public. The URL that I am copying straight away, you can able to access the text URL. This is how to create a bucket and does all the activity. Yes, I shared the URL. Please let me know. Can you able to access it or not?
Yeah, sir. It is
Yeah, that's very good. Once your activity has been over, what you can do, you can delete the bucket. When you delete the bucket, first you want to empty the bucket. The bucket with the object couldn't be deleted. First, you want to delete all the object into the bucket. Empty the bucket. And then you can delete the bucket. Select the bucket and delete the bucket. It is asking for the name of the bucket. Name of the bucket, Prabhu HM. Copy paste the name and then you delete the bucket. So up to how much of duration that you used, how much of duration that you have stored, for that alone you need to pay for it. So now the bucket has been deleted. And go back to the EC2 instance and terminate the instance. Go to the instance tab, select the instance and go to actions and terminate the instance. Under the instance state, stop instance and terminate the instance. Okay. So once you complete the practical, so you can terminate all the resources so that it provides you a cost-effective solution. So this comes to the end of today's discussion. Hope you are clear with everything. Okay. The next session will be on Indian time Monday and US time it is a Sunday night. The same time,
Okay, sir.
Indian time, Monday 6:30 a.m. We will complete the remaining properties of S3. Else we can start with this Azure. Anything that I can go for. So our next from next Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, our AWS and Azure session will be over, and the next session we will be starting with Python. Okay. So another one session for cloud, most probably another 1 or 2 sessions for the security, sorry, the storage part and associated Azure part also. So you are not sure whether you are going to work on AWS or Azure environment. That's why I am letting you know both the things. So I have conveyed the associated fees with the Prabhu and Kalyan. So next session, try to pay the fees before that. Okay. Hope it is clear for you. I will share the video.
Okay, sir.
Thank you. Have a good day. Have a good weekend. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.